So Dr. Bob, give a hand to Dr. Bob.
Mario, I'd just like to say you passed the audition. But this kind of captures it right here. Richard Branson, if you take care of your people, they'll take care of your business. It doesn't get much simpler than that. And so the concepts I'm going to share with you here in our brief time together are all simple concepts. Almost, you might say, common sense. But as Voltaire said in 1640, common sense isn't very common. And it's still true today. So these, and one of the biggest challenges I find in working with companies is they go, so thank people when they do a good job? Yeah. Oh, I can do that. We can do that. I go, I know you can do it. I'm here to say, what's going to get you to do it? I know you have the ability, but unless you actually do it and put your thoughts into behavior where you show someone that you appreciate what they did. That was a great job you did, that presentation. I loved helping that customer. You chipped in to jump in to help a colleague without being asked. That's exactly what we're looking for. In fact, that relates to one of our core values. You give it a context. That's recognition. Recognition is not, hey, that's a nice outfit. Recognition is not, I just did yesterday a 2-hour conference a call with a billion-dollar company. And I'm talking to their leading management teams, and they kept saying, you mean to compliment people? No, did I say, no, not compliment people. Specifically thank them for something, for their desired behavior and performance that you want more from. That's what I'm asking. Well, we could do that. I go, yeah. What I find is that 80% of managers think they're very good at this topic, how to connect with people and get the most out of them. But only 12% of employees today say they get meaningful recognition where they work. 12%. 3 times as many, 34%, say that the things that our company does for us, they're supposed to motivate and excite us to do more of the work and help each other. Don't speak to me. Years of service, holiday parties, birthday celebrations. That's not recognition. I mean, it is recognition, but recognition is the most proven principle in the world to drive desired behavior and performance. The most proven principle in the world. 400 studies say this is fact. When it comes to motivating people, do this, it will work. I guarantee it. And actually, I did my doctoral dissertation at the Drucker School in Pomona on just one question. I already went in knowing that this works. My question was, why don't people do it? And I did a 3-year study, deep dive, 47 national companies. In each one of them, I had an organizational sponsor, and they told me, well, these people are good at it, and these people aren't. And then I backed that up with a self-report from the manager, and then up to 16 of their direct reports. A 3-way validation to say, does this person do recognition? Okay. Does this person not do recognition? Yes. And I got them in these 2 groups. And what's cool about that, because they were all from the same company. So a lot of variables were held constant. Same company, same ages, same education, a lot of things. And that allows you to pull out the variable that you're most studying. And I looked at 167 potential variables that distinguish this group from this group. And statistically, there's some cool methods that you can do to pull it out. And wow. And here they are. I did extensive interviews and a survey, and then it pops out of these which are most important. And what I found, you want to hear what I found? 3-year study. I'm giving it short service here, but in a couple of sentences, this was the finding, that the number one reason why managers do not recognize their employees today, drum roll, Mario, okay, they don't know how to do it well. They feel they're going to look silly. People are going to laugh at me. Followed by, they didn't really think it was this important. Yeah, I know it's important to be nice to people, but we got a real job to do here. We got a serious business. I'm not going to waste time coddling this younger generation. I paid my dues. They can pay their dues. Well, buddy, I got to tell you, they're not going to pay their dues. It's got to happen now for them, or they're moving on. 70% of the millennial generation is going to change jobs in the next 12 months. of the millennials and Gen Z. In fact, there's now, millennials are currently the largest generation in the workplace. By next year, they will represent 75% of the workplace across America. And Gen Z, coming up quick, it already has there's more Gen Zs in the workplace than there are baby boomers, who are exiting at a rate of 10,000 a day, are retiring. So I got news for you. You got to rely on this younger generation. So don't be making fun of them. Don't be saying, meet them where they're at, and and if you do that right, you get to know them, you show that you're on their side, you'll have them in your hand. Because that's who everyone wants to work for. They want to work for someone that is on their side and has their back and is talking to them about how they did and gave them feedback. Number one, gave them feedback. That was a great job at that. They cannot operate. None of us can operate in a vacuum. That was a good job. I need to hear that from you. Well, I told you last week you did a good job. Yeah, keep it coming. The younger generation, and this is a big change in this topic, because I've been doing this for 30 years. And then if we go back 15 years, I'd ask employees, well, does your manager do anything to recognize you? I wish. It'd be nice if they did something. And haven't seen it, but it'd be nice. They don't say that anymore. Now they say, I expect them to be recognized. I expect to be called out when I do a good job. I expect it. Which means if you don't give it to them, then they're going to be disappointed, they're going to be disillusioned, they're going to have a foot out the door. They already have a foot out the door, by the way, because this is the electronic generations, the younger generation. They get pinged, even if they came to work for you, now they're on the team, they're still getting pinged if someone looks at their resume. They will bolt. You make one snide comment, they will bolt on that. Not because you're not a nice person, just sort of like, they're more excited. The excitement isn't happening here. They've got a friend who's part of a startup, and they're on fire. And every time they talk to him, I just had lunch with my boss. Yeah, things are happening here. You have any room there? Because that's where I want to work. That's where we all want to work. A place where we can feel that what we're doing matters, and that we're part of something larger than ourselves. And we're there not just to get a number on a paycheck, which of course we want that too, right? We got to pay our bills, but to be part of something that we could be excited about. And that doesn't come from a program. That comes from personal touch with the people that they hold in highest esteem in the place where they work, starting with number one, their boss. And right behind that, their peers, who often know more about what they did to get something done than their boss, who maybe, they don't see as often. And then if you could really get into high gear, get upper management involved. Make them look good, show them how to do it. So anyway, tangent, going back to my findings. So number two, they didn't think it was that important. Number three, they were busy, and we're all busy. And who has time to do things that we don't think are that important to begin with? Okay, who here exercises? Who here knows you should exercise daily? Or okay, now keep those hands up. Now who actually does exercise? Okay, well, that's good. Well, the rest of you got some work to do. I don't want to see anyone on the elevators. You take the steps, okay? So it's a human nature. We've got, I call it the knowing doing gap. We know what we should be doing, but we're not actually doing it. And this happens with management. They read the 1 Minute Manager. They know it's important to treat people right, but it gets squeezed out. And they get too busy, and then they put it off, and then maybe we'll do it at the end of the year award. End of the year is ancient history in any fast-moving organization today. We don't need employees of the month. We need employees of the moment. We need them every day, not one person. Why would you put a quote on excellence? We need everybody charged up. We're hitting it every day together. That's what we need. That's what we want. That's what employees want. And if you turn that on and make it happen, get out of their way. And I've had the pleasure and luxury to work with some fantastic companies where basically they're getting out of employees' ways because the employees are on fire and they're excited to be here and every day. And to get that, you have to have a culture where this is established. It's not, and you're not going to find a culture. Well, that happens by having a few formal programs at the end of the year or Employee of the Month, or that's a joke. That's 1940s stuff. 1940s. Talking about the younger generation, here and now, see something, say something, okay, in a positive way. Here and now, management is in the moment. Peter Drucker defined management as getting the work done through others. It's not being a micromanager. It's not being a superstar and doing the work for them. It's getting it done through others. That means you're there for them. That means it starts with getting to know them. And then it talks about daily, around the work that we're doing together, what's working? How are you making it happen? And cultures that adopt this, they 201 end up saying, we're never, ever too busy to spotlight performance, to call out quality. We're never too busy to celebrate excellence when we had a milestone for the company or for the department. Where it's always just a click away, just an item, and they're constantly looking for ways. I worked with Disney for 15 years. They're actually part of my dissertation. One of the companies I did a deep dive, and since then I've worked with both theme parks. I worked with the cruise lines, right down the list. 15 years, and let me tell you, this doesn't happen by accident at Disney. They've got over at Walt Disney World. They have over 200 different types of recognition programs and tools. 200. Now, that might sound like overkill, right? If you've got just maybe a couple, they don't think that's overkill. This drives all the success Disney has had in their lifetime, all of it. Starting with Walt Disney, 1955, he had an epiphany. He realized that if he ever, you can't yell at someone in the back room, expect him to go out and deal with the customer like nothing's wrong. None of us can segment who we are like that. And he saw that, the power of that, and Walt Disney had an epiphany to say, if I ever have the chance to have someone work for me, employees working for me, I will treat them as they're my customer, knowing that if I do that well enough, they will pass it on to the company's customer. That is the foundation of all of Disney's success. And it doesn't happen by accident. And if a manager joins the organization and they go through the training, and then they don't do it, do you think that's going to fly at Disney? We didn't spend 50 years setting up this ideal culture, the happiest place on earth, to have some bozo drift in and decide to do whatever the hell he wants. Oh, I yell at people when they're out of line. I do. No, not here. You don't. And they'll send them back to the training again. And at some point, they say, you know what? Maybe you're not cut out to be a manager. We're not going to have you muck up our culture. Because the way it works right now, that in every company, including all of yours, you've got some managers, some leaders that are good at this stuff, every one of you. And then you've got a bunch of people that aren't doing it. And then you've got actually a few people, maybe the same number that are doing it, that refuse to do it. Okay? They've thought about it, and I'm too important. We've serious business. I'm not going to waste time telling people stuff. We recognize people around here. It's called a paycheck. They get it every 2 weeks. Oh, good luck with that, buddy. Because that is, people don't work just for money. They don't work just for money. There's a lot more going on. And the more you can find out about what that is and what they're trying to get out of working, the more you can give them a front row seat to their own future, their own career. And especially as you're right behind them, talking about not only what they did, but what's next for you here. If you want to hold on to your people, number one issue in HR this year and last year and going forward, retention. Number one issue. We have, as I mentioned, 70% of the younger generation will leave in the next 12 months. We already have 25% of the top performers will leave in the next 12 months. We already have that happening, and that will continue. 30% of the workforce is going to turn over each year going forward. 30%, unless you put a stick in the gears and say, not here. We're going to hold on to them. Okay, and every person you can hold on to is one less person you have to hire. And what happens when you're hiring someone? You got interviews, you got taking time, getting them up to speed for 6 months. It takes a long time to get the payback, and you're starting from scratch. Holding on to the people you have is your best strategy to not have to hire new ones.